Shana Tova. I'd like to begin this High Holy Day season with a story. It's a story told by Rabbi Leora Kay from the Union of Reformed Judaism. I urge you now to take a break, to sit back, take in a deep breath, and to relax. There once was a young girl who lived in Baltimore City. She loved our city. She loved seeing her neighbors, watching the dogs as they walked by, hearing the car horns, and riding her bike to and fro down our city streets. Yet each year, the girl looked forward to leaving Baltimore for her annual trip to visit her Savta, her grandmother. Now, the girl's Savta did not live in any place like Baltimore. Her grandmother lived far away, a several hours long drive deep into the country. The girl loved to be with her Savta because her home was so different from Baltimore. The sounds were different, the sights were different, even the smells were different. There were so many things to do, so many places to explore, so many people to meet. Most special of all, the thing that the girl most looked forward to was an annual tradition, a train ride. Each year, her grandmother would come up with an excuse for the two of them to take a train ride together. The girl and her Savta, they loved these train rides. Year after year, they'd board the same train that always left the station promptly at 2:36 p.m. They'd sit in the same seats, left side of the train, second row from the back. They'd look out the same window, and her Savta would share stories about the places they passed. She would reminisce about the farms and the buildings, the people in the community. Her Savta would remind her of all the things that had changed during her lifetime and what still remained the same. It was an annual pilgrimage, a time to hold each other tight, to remember the past and to focus on the present. It was truly their highlight together. One year, as the girl arrived, her Savta saw that the train schedule had changed. Instead of a 2:36 p.m. train that they always took, they'd have to board another train that left an hour later. Savta, we always take the 2:36 p.m. train. How could we not take our train? Don't worry, Babala. We'll catch the next train instead. But as they boarded the new train, they saw that an older couple was sitting in their seats. The couple was moving a little slowly and had just gotten settled. Savta! That's our seats. We always sit on the left side of the train, second row from the back. Don't worry, Babala. We'll sit in these seats instead. But as the train began to leave the station, they saw that directly next to them, on the parallel track, was a very, very long freight train. As they looked out the window, all they could see was the cars of that train. The girl became dismayed. Savta! How can you tell me our stories if the train is blocking our view? Even though the girl knew these stories by heart, she wanted to hear them from her grandmother and to look out at the farms and the trees and the people that she so loved seeing. With a wisdom that only comes from being a grandmother, Her savta gently touched her shoulder and turned her granddaughter's face in the opposite direction. Don't worry, Babala. There is another side to the train. We haven't even looked out those windows in this direction. I have so many new stories to tell you. And so grandmother and granddaughter turned their view and saw a whole new world. This evening, as we gather to welcome the new year 5781, we know that our train is canceled, our seats are taken, and there is a freight train blocking our view. We can't celebrate Rosh Hashanah as we did in the past. We can't gather in our meadow with our picnic dinners. We can't hear the moving music by Shir Chadash. Tomorrow morning, we won't be able to fill our beautiful sanctuary to kiss each other and hug each other and feel that majesty that only comes when hundreds of us gather in the same room together. The stories, the rituals, the traditions that have been a hallmark for generations of Jews and a staple of our Bolton Street Synagogue community, they're just not going to happen the same way this year. Like the girl, we too can be dismayed. And we too can't take all these disruptions. We're sad that this Rosh Hashanah will be quite a bit different. Although we can't experience things as we did in years past, we do have the stories and the memories. Rosh Hashanah is called Yom HaZikaron, the day of memory. Today we're urged to remember the past and to remember what's been taken from us. We're permitted to mourn everything that we lost, but we must not become fixated on the past, for our view is blocked. It's time for us at this moment to change perspective. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it won't be bittersweet, but there is power and there is strength when we shift our perspective. With that change of perspective, we can gain a whole new sense of creativity to learn about old traditions that maybe haven't been at the forefront of our experience. Tonight's Erev Rosh Hashanah Seder was not the same. But we would have never celebrated a Seder prior to COVID. Over the holidays, we'll have new rituals, new voices sharing their stories, new approaches to transform our customs of the past and to make them meaningful to our life experience during COVID. Tonight, we also recognize the power of Zoom. We can create community with friends and family who are literally across the globe. As we begin another new year, as we mark another notch in our Jewish calendar, may we not forget the many generations that came before us. They too faced struggle and challenge. They did not remain unmoved. Their change in perspective pushed them to transform our religion and our world. We possess the rituals and the traditions of today because they needed to create them. And so, we must do the same. We can and we must mourn that our view is blocked. We can and we must focus on the memories of Rosh Hashanah past. But at this moment, we must also change perspective, for our future depends on it. We must plant new seeds that will uplift our Jewish community and allow it to flourish far into the future. It's time to create new memories, new rituals, new stories for the COVID and the post-COVID world. It's time to change our perspective and recognize all of the blessings of our family and our community and our world. It's not easy, but it's time to look out the other window. Shana Tova.